Hello there and welcome to ADcraft. Today I'm going to be showing you how to build this fantastic futuristic starter base, which is surprisingly easy once we get into it. So don't go anywhere, there's a full world download available from my Discord, and let's get on with the video. Here are the materials for the build, so pause the video now to check them out. If you need alternatives for the sea lanterns, I go through those later in the build. Now the floor plan for this is based around a 17 diameter circle, so you've got 5, then 2, then 1, 1, 2, and then 5, and carrying on round that. On the outside of that, you've got a 3 and then a 2, but you carry the 1 inside, and then a 1, 1, and then again the same pattern on the other side. I'm going to show you this by building it in the various different sections. Obviously you then repeat this, moving it round. So for example, I'll show you each of these wings of those sections, and then I'll also show you the portions of the sphere, well, the dome itself. But that's going to be the first thing we're going to focus on, is straight into building the dome. Now with this floor plan you don't actually need to lay it out in the ground, but if you do, it doesn't necessarily need to be these blocks. You can use cheaper blocks just to mark out where you want to put it. And the first thing we're going to do, this is going to be the entranceway, so we'll leave that for now. And what we're going to do is actually, we will just put some temporary blocks here. I'll just use the blue concrete for that to mark that off. And what we're going to do is, where we've got a sea lantern, we're going to place each of these sea lanterns. And then I'm using the smooth quartz, but you can actually use the white concrete if you're looking for something a bit cheaper. I'm using the smooth quartz because there are some stairs, not many, on this build that you will need as well. So the smooth quartz and the stairs match up. So the first thing to do is place 3 temporary blocks just in the middle here, where this doorway is, and then start filling in the pattern to 1 high. So you're just filling in a full ring like this up to the 1 level above the ground, all the way around. Now, as I mentioned, this build is all about the patterns. So the first thing that we're going to do is, we've created this circle here. We're also going to create a half circle going over. So you will need some temporary blocks for this. I'm just going to use the glass because I have the glass available. So you come up the 2, and then you come in and up 2 more, then in and up 1 more, then 1 more again. And then you start coming across the 2. And then we get up to this 5 long section. So that then ties up. You'll see it lines up with the center here. Then you start coming down and across the 2 and just repeating this round. So then it's 1, 1. And if you followed any of my other futuristic builds, you'll be very, very familiar with this circle. It is my favorite size just because it's very, very satisfying, and it's a good size itself. And then you'll have the final 2 that link up that. So we've done that. The next thing to do is do exactly the same from the other 2 sides, so that connects up in the middle. And what you can do is you can place a sea lantern here in the middle, so you know you're bringing it through to the right place. Now we've got these cross beams going across, we're going to start filling in various different shapes in all of the different areas, and I'll show you the shapes that you'll fill in each of these sections, and then you just go around and repeat it in all of these. So the first shape that we're going to fill in is on this section. We're going to do an L shape here, and what that means is everywhere that you've got one of these corners, we complete an L shape, and that'll be the same here, just like so. Also, when you get up here, you've got the same L shape that you're going to put in here. And so once you've filled that all in with all the L shapes, I'll show you what it looks like and take you to the next. With all of the L shapes now in place, then the next thing to do is the next part. And what we're going to do is, in here, we're going to come in 2 on both these sides, and then we're simply going to connect this up. So you've got a 2, and then another L shape here. So I'll show you one more time on this side. So you've got the 2 here, the 2 here, and then you create an L shape in this pattern here. And you do that again in each of these corners that you've got right the way through. So now I've done that all the way around, I've deliberately left one section where I've missed 1 block. And because you're working in patterns, your brain's really good at recognizing this. So anything where you have missed, you can quite easily detect it. So you can see there that now everything matches up, and now we're going to move on to the next stage. And the next stage is simply to take a line going round all the way round the edge of this block till it meets up here. And so again, we'll do that on this side as well very quickly, bring it all the way round just so the corners of this block are touching like so, and do that again in each of the different sections. Now with all of those done, then you'll get these little triangular patterns in each of the corners, and this is another time that you'll need some temporary blocks. So I'll go back to using the blue concrete to make this easier to explain. In each of these corners where these two bits meet up, we're going to place a temporary block, and that temporary block is then going to allow us to place out a block just coming out this way into each of these. What we've then created is a smaller triangle here. Now again, we're going to need some temporary blocks again, but we're going to place a temporary block here, and then we're going to place a block in. We're going to place a temporary block here as well, and basically using these temporary blocks, so you've got 6 glass and 6 temporary blocks that you'll be using in order to fill in this hole. And once you've done that, you can take out each of these blocks like so, and you filled in this pattern here. And yeah, make sure you do that on the other 3 sides, and then you will find that you are stuck in the dome, and we can knock out this entranceway. All of the corners are now filled in, and like I say, you're now stuck in the dome. But the easiest way to get out is, and the way that you want to get out, is to simply take out the 3 temporary blocks that you've put in place, take out the 3 blocks above that, and the 3 blocks above that. Now obviously if you want to build it, it's a bit more complicated to leave this portion out whilst you're building it because of the patterns, but yeah, that's the way that you do that. Then we're going to place a smooth quartz block here, and we're going to place a sea lantern on each of these sea lanterns, and then we're going to come up, and we're going to come up here and here with these blocks, and then once we're going to done that, we come up 1 more block, and we're going to fill this in with glass like so. Once you've filled that in with glass, you don't need this block on the inside anymore, so that just opens it out. Now the next thing to do is again with a temporary block, or you can actually, it's probably easier, you don't need temporary blocks if you just fill the glass out like this. Then we're going to have 1 block here with the sea lantern in the middle, and that's the basis for your entranceway. The only other thing to do is that we're going to get the smooth quartz stairs here, and we'll just place the 3 smooth quartz stairs in here, and then that is the finished. This is the actual main bit of the base, the dome, all done. The only thing to do from this point inwards for this inner section is, if you were building this in survival and wanted to build down as this is an entranceway to something underneath, you could do. But what we're going to do is just take out all of these blocks inside and just fill it in with the quartz or the concrete, whatever you're using to build your flooring material. So the entirety of the inside of this, I'm going to make this all smooth and clean and white. Now, having filled in the entirety of that floor, you can see I've placed 1 single sea lantern underneath this one in the middle. And that 1 single sea lantern means that this entire structure is now spawn proof, as there is nothing that can spawn in this area. It's all sufficient light levels. To build the outer petals of this dome, what we're going to do is we're going to start on these coloured bits, and we're going to build up again, similar to how we did with this dome, a framework. And this framework is going to work like so. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to come up 6. So once we've come up 6, we cross over and we leave this block in. We do want this to still be in, and then we'll come up 4 blocks. So that's basically, it's got 6 and then it's got 3 that you can see on the outside, but you've got this crossover. Then again, we come in a further block and we come up 3 like this. So you've got 2 that you can see above this block. Then we do exactly the same again. We come up a further 3 like this. At this point, we come across 2, and then on top of this block, we come across another 2 like this. Now that, as you will see here, lines up with this particular bit. So to show you again, on this, all of this will come up into a framework. So we've got 3, 4, 5, 6. Then we go 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then we come across the 2 more, and then we've got the 3 here. So that will then connect up, and this is the first stage, so do that for each of those 4 quadrants. With this frame in place, we're going to start doing just the outer coating, and the way that we do that, first of all, is on each of these we will place a sea lantern in the middle, and then we are going to, next to the sea lantern, we're just going to cover up and make sure that looking from this side, none of the blue concrete is visible. So if we just fill these in like this, you'll see what I mean. So again, we don't need to overlap, they're just touching on the corners, and we fill all of this in right the way through like this, and that gives us basically a skin on top of just these, just on the framework, not in between yet. We're going to work on that next. So the next thing to do is add in the concrete or the smooth quartz, whichever you're using. Next we have the sea lanterns. So coming to this spot, we're going to place 6 sea lanterns up, so to the top of the blue concrete. Then we don't need to place one here, but we're going to place 3 up again to the top of this concrete. Then again, we don't need to place one here, but we're going to go up again 3 this time. Then we're going to come in 1 and diagonally in 1 and diagonally in 1 again, and then 1 into this corner. And we'll do the same on the other side. So we'll go up to this level, then in 3, 3, in 1, and then diagonally that meets up. Now the last thing to do is to place 1 more in the center there. So repeat that all the way around. Now we're going to take the white again, and we're going to start at the bottom, and we're going to move up and fill in 1 block beneath this block. So we're going to leave that one exposed. We're then going to move up and do the same. So we leave this exposed, move up, leave this exposed, and then we cover up the rest of the blocks like so. And we can show you from the top here. So cover up these blocks right the way down to here. This one remains exposed, and we cover these 2. This remains exposed, and we cover these, and then this gets filled up the side here. Once we've done that, we are going to take out the second block there and here and replace them with a sea lantern. And we're also then going to fill in to 2 blocks high right the way around this section here, just like this. With the build looking like this, the next layer that we're going to do is we're going to come into this inside block where we can see these sea lanterns, and we're going to come up 4, which covers all of the sea lanterns like so. We're then going to come in 1 and onto the next one, come up 4 again, and then we're going to come in 1, then come in again and go 2, and then we've got the final 1 block here. So I'll show you again on this side. 1, 2, 3, 4, then 1, 2, 3, 4, then 1, and then 2, and then the final block at the top here. And then just in front of the bottom block, so we've got a nice 3x3 with this sea lantern in the middle, we're just going to fill that in, and again do that in each of the quarters. Now those are all done, we're going to start with the glass, and we're going to fill in the glass again similar way. We're going to just do it in slices, and then it's going to meet in the middle. So the first thing to do is choose the glass that's appropriate for the colors that you've chosen. So I've got some light blue stained glass, and we're going to come up 2. Then we're going to place a temporary block, and then we're going to come up 4. Get rid of that bit, we don't need that. Then we're going to come up 3, so again a temporary block, 2, 3. And then we're going to come up 1 here, and then again with a temporary block we're going to come up 1 here. And that brings us level with the top. So again, just once more on the other side. 1, 2, you can start at the top here because you don't actually need the temporary block, because we're just going to come down the 4. Then we're going to come down the 3 from here. Then we've got this 1, and it all ties up like so. Now to fill in the glass, we are going to start by placing some temporary blocks. So we'll place a temporary block here, and then on top of that we're going to come up 5. And that'll bring us 1 block under the top here. We'll place another temporary block, and we'll come up 3. We'll place 1 final temporary block on this section, and then we'll come up 1, and that gives us the slice. So we'll do the same on the other side. We'll place the temporary block here and come up 5. We'll place a temporary block here and we'll come up 3, and then that will then match up with the temporary block on the inside. and we can leave these in here because this means that we can finish off by going 1 2 3 1 2 3, and then we can come down from that temporary block, and that is all then filled in. Then just make sure you go into the build itself and take out all of the temporary blocks. So if you're using dirt, it's probably the easiest one to use. Then you have a completed side. Now we've got the finishing touches to the build. So this is almost done in terms of it being one of the modular sections. The only thing to do is to come in here and running a line around in between these two sets of sea lanterns. We're just going to add some further lighting inside here. So this helps to mob proof the inside, but also give it some really nice lighting in the dark. The other thing to do is in between these two pillars, then we're going to dig down 2 blocks. Doesn't matter about that one. Then fill this in with sea lanterns with a layer of the stained glass on top of it. And once we've done that on all of the sides, then the last thing to do is entirely up to you if you do this or not, but I like to then fill in all of these spaces in between the exterior and the interior bit with some more of the concrete. And then when you look through the build, through the windows of the build from the outside, you can just see the blue through there, and it looks really nice, or whatever color you're using, in fact. So here is the finished build in the default textures. As you can see, the concrete is a bit smoother, and the quartz, even though it's called smooth quartz, is a bit less smooth in the default textures. Now, as I've said, if you did want to use the concrete, then you could get quite a nice effect using that, but you'd still need these stairs in place unless you missed those out entirely. So yeah, the finished build is done. One of the best things about this build is that it can be a really good entrance to an underground base. You can, if you are building this very early game, switch out the sea lanterns if you don't have those, and the best thing to use in place for those is the new shroom lights. But you could also use some glowstone if you wanted for those. So yeah, this is the finished build. I will now show you with the texture pack on and also with the shaders. So here is the build in the BSL shaders, and I find BSL are the best shaders for futuristic style builds here. And if we have a quick look inside, we can see that there is plenty of space inside for an early game base. Also, you could use this as a nice entrance to the underground base, but the best thing about it is the fact that it can be used as a modular build, and you can add further modules of the same thing on here. But before we go and have a look at some of those variants, I just want to pop on the nighttime to show you what it looks like in the dark. Because in the dark is when it really comes to life, and all of that lighting that we've put inside really pays off. So as you can see here, we've got this build, and it does look great on its own. You've got various different combinations that you can have here. We've got one that uses the orange terracotta and some orange glass, also looks good. And then over here we've got one that I believe that this is the red terracotta and some cyan glass, so you can mix and match those up in terms of the color schemes. And then when we come over here, you'll see the first of the variants for that. This one I've just built another base around it, so you can see how that can tie into some of the other things. And here we've got a variant where we've just linked 2 of these bases together, and this is again using some of the green terracotta. And as you can see from this, the base itself can grow as your need grows as well. So you can just add more modules, more units, more of the style of similar thing, and your base can expand, and you never need to really leave it behind. You can just make it bigger and better. So that's one of them. As we fly through some of the other builds in my futuristic world, so we've got the space elevator there, we've got the large dome base there, we've got the spiral base. All of these bases have various different videos for them. Some of them haven't got tutorials yet, but I am working through them. But if you would like particularly to see any of them as tutorials, then do go to the videos for those builds and let me know in the comments. That really does help. But this spiral base has had a tutorial, as has this futuristic base here, and both of them have done really well. So I'm really glad that people are enjoying these builds. And the last of these varieties of this is just a slight variant where you can take this build, and rather than building the full set of petals or wings on there, you can just put 2 of these domes together and have each of these ends on there. So again, it looks really, really good in all of the different varieties that you can have it. So I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope you have subscribed to the channel if you don't already, because that really, really does help. Let me know if you have enjoyed this and if you do like the futuristic builds, and I will continue to build more. I love the style, and it seems that a lot of you do as well. So yeah, let me know. And all that's left to be said is thank you very, very much for watching, and I will see you next time on ADcraft.